now becoming, because if you notice now, most parents, it is their children who controls them. To the level that ordinary remotes, it is the children who controls what they want to watch, abandoning the parent. Even some parents, I don't want to say, they have now lost their leadership in the value. They say, leave them, these children of nowadays, thinking that they are helping them, not knowing that they actually hate them. You should be able to say, no, you can't do this. And that is the best gift you are giving to your children. You should be able, life from even the control of the remote at home. We just have to start from there, and to the level of even sitting in the sitting room with the family. It does not mean a parent should be tiger in the family, in the home, but should be able to control your children to say, yes, I'm here with my visitor, go to your room, or go out and play, I am busy now. Many of our parents, of the parents of nowadays, they have lost that control, thinking that they love their children. No, that is not love at all. Until we're able to start from as little thing as that, it is then we'll be able to come back to where we are coming from. And also, the issue of material thing. The moment each family places a lot of premium on the material thing, then we can't get to where we are. We should allow the children to value the family first, to value that relationship first, before the issue of material thing. Yes, we all need material thing, but should not be the ultimate in the family.
I want to advise our youth of nowadays to not to feel that everything African is bad, not to think that everything Nigerian is bad. I want to advise our youth to also showcase the good qualities that we have in our own environment, in our own system. Recently, they said some of the artifacts that are taken away from Nigeria, from Benin and Lagos and some Abuja, they took them to Europe. They took them to the UK. If they didn't see something good in them, they would not have taken them away. Today, they are bringing them back and bringing them back fresh. Now, it shows that there are things that we have that even the Western world admire. So I want the youth of today to really know that we are not created to be backward.
Values are important also because they provide a foundation as a source of protection, guidance, affection, and support. Instilling family values can protect and guide children against making hurtful decisions in the future, as values teach a sense of right and wrong. This is because values add to relationships and influence judgments and behaviors. It is largely reported that much of what we do and how we react to various situations and issues is a result of our values. Experts say having solid family values help people make the right choices in life. Yes, parenting can be a challenge with all of the world's influences. It can even be scary. However, the truth is, knowing what you believe in as a parent and what you want for your children will help you raise them to be responsible and conscientious adults. We hope we have done our little part in keeping you informed and enlightened on the issue. Until next time, remain blessed and stay safe. I'm Lydia Sams.
Fellow compatriots, if no single tribe or religion has defeated poverty, then no single tribe or religion can develop Nigeria. The success story of every state and capital is the contribution of every tribe and religion. Our Nigeria no be wazobia, no majorities or minorities. Every tribe and every religion still dey hustle for naira wey no get tribe or religion. So, my country people, let's join this movement that says naira no get tribe and use the naira to develop our naira land. Citizens first. Citizens before state of origin. Citizens before your religion. Citizens before your ethnic belonging. For participation, call 0902 739 5555.
We want to talk about rights, there are obligations. I'm not saying that this government is a saint, it's very far from it. But there are things that we can do to make it better, and that's the challenge I'm throwing to you. You don't want to build this nation? I don't know where else you want to go. If I had a choice, I'll come back. When I stand outside and I hear what you have to say about this country that I know that I can die for as one, then I'm really sad because you're young. You have education. You have tools. You have a huge future ahead of you. And you're condemning yourself before you started on that journey. So please don't do that. Please don't.
Stop this senseless killing. All we need is one Nigeria.
I think we have come to the threshold of time when we need to seek for peace.
We need peace in this country. We need peace in Nigeria.
And together, we can pull through.
No matter where you come from,
Hausa, Igbo, or Yoruba.
we cannot achieve a better Nigeria by fighting.
Let us stand together in brotherhood and solidarity and strive for peace.
And not because of their tribal or their religion or whatsoever background.
Da zaman lafiya da kwanciyar hankali a cikin ƙasar Najeriya.
Let us support the government of the day to embrace peace in our nation.
Your Nigeria, our Nigeria, my Nigeria.
This message is brought to you by the Ambassador of Voice for Change Initiative, supported by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, and the Federal Capital Territory.
'76th United Nations General Assembly. President Buhari engages Queen of Netherlands. Strategies for unlocking development opportunities.
Mr.
Top
President,
agenda.
Promised that we were going to do even more in the country to put in place that digital infrastructure.
Vice President Oshibajo at Kaduna Economic Summit pledges federal government support to states.
We are committed to, as much as is possible, creating a stable and predictable macroeconomic business environment, providing infrastructure, and of course ensuring security.
House of Representatives move to curb leakage of classified security documents.
The leakage of classified security documents and other acts of sabotage is causing failure of intelligence gathering.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss the management and control of cholera, plus World Contraception Day.
And today we turn our attention to cholera, which is a serious threat to public health across the world. And in anywhere it is prevalent, It's indicative of social inequality and lack of social development.
Well, researchers have estimated that each year there are roughly between 1 and 4 million cases of cholera worldwide and more than 100,000 fatalities from the disease.
And here in Nigeria, statistics from the NCDC shows that as at 12th of September 2021, that's this year, a total of 72,910 suspected cases of cholera were recorded in 27 states, including the FCT. That's this year alone. Now, 2,404 deaths have also been recorded so far.
Now, following an increase in the number of cholera cases in the country, the National Cholera Emergency Operations Center was activated on the 22nd of June this year at the NCDC with representation from the Federal Ministries of Environment, Water Resources, and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, plus the World Health Organization and other development partners.
All right. Now, many states across the country, as we earlier indicated, are affected by this epidemic. But worst hit are some states in the northern part, particularly Bauchi, which has recorded very high incidence. Now, the disease has already started, well, a reactive oral cholera vaccine campaign, which is led by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Now, the vaccination was conducted in all local government areas, that's of Bauchi State this year. Now, that's since July this year, that is Kingsley, I guess so.
Well, the Executive Director and CEO of the Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaib, disclosed earlier this week that the International Coordinating Group has already approved about 4 million oral doses for cholera vaccination in Nigeria.
Sounds cheering news there. But the manner parts of the country has been hit by cholera is very, very frightening this year, and have made experts to advocate urgent need to strengthen water, sanitation, and hygiene in the country that we popularly know as WASH. The question, however, is why the current cholera outbreak in the country? What should be done, to manage and control it? That will be our focus today on Good Morning Nigeria this Friday. And I welcome you to the program. My name is Claire Adelabu Abdulrazak.
Well, we also have a second topic, which is on World Contraception Day, coming up on Sunday. Plus, of course, we will have our regular complimentary segments, and these include newspaper review, business, and others. My name is Kingsley Osadolo, and I welcome you to today's program as well, live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's now join our colleague, Dennis Adegunloye, for the highlights of the morning news. Good morning, Dennis.
Morning, Kingsley, and morning, Claire. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. Issues relating to ways and means of unlocking development opportunities through financial inclusion dominated discussions when President Muhammadu Buhari held a bilateral engagement with Queen Maxima of the Netherlands. The meeting was held on the margins of the ongoing 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York.
Getting a large percentage of our country, not just in the urban areas, but throughout the country, to plug in to the digital highway, really, as it is, and so that all activities will be done digitally. Investors will then also come in, in the various sectors when you have this easier mode of transacting business.
President Nicolas Maduro has sent a high delegation for talks with Nigeria on various ways of improving the Venezuelan economy, particularly in oil and gas resources as well as aviation. The delegation met the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyema, in New York. The federal government has reiterated that it will continue to support and encourage the efforts of states towards improving infrastructure, security and social services in the country. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this at the 6th edition of the Kaduna Economic Summit, where the Kaduna State government said it has so far realized investments of over $2 billion.
Environment, providing infrastructure, and of course ensuring security. For we realize that in addition to kinetic interventions, jobs and social protection are vital for security and sustainable development. And we are, as you've mentioned, making accelerated efforts to enhance security across the country, and in this region particularly.
Worried about the recurring incidents of leakages of classified security documents and the implications on national security, the House of Representatives has resolved to carry out an investigation into the matter.
The leakage of classified security documents and other acts of sabotage is causing failure of intelligence gathering, misunderstanding, and lack of cohesion among operatives involved in different operations against insurgency and other acts of terrorism in Nigeria.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has restated that the federal government's borrowing is tied to the administration's commitment to bequeathing the nation with world-class infrastructure that will benefit upcoming generations. The minister stated this at the town hall meeting on safeguarding the nation's critical infrastructure against incessant vandalization, with the focus on power and telecommunication infrastructure. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 433 new cases of COVID-19 in 16 states and the FCT. In the new figures, the FCT tops the chart with 191 new cases, followed by Lagos recording 79 new cases. Anambra records 63, Rivers 27, Plateau 13, Oyo 10, while Delta State recorded 9 new cases. Other states include Ondo recording 8, Edo 7, Gombe 6, Akwa Ibom and Borno 5 each, Ekiti 4, Bayelsa and Zamfara 2 each, while Enugu and Kano recorded a single case. Nigeria now has 203,514 confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 191,942 have been treated and discharged. 2,668 deaths have now been recorded of the virus. Well, that concludes the news beat for now on the program. It will continue shortly after this break with Kingsley and Claire. Good morning.
Best to contain the situation, and in our operations we've been able to make a lot of recoveries. We've been able to also arrest suspects that are involved in this kind of activities, and we've been able to also recover particularly arms and ammunition from those who are carrying it unlawfully and disturbing the peace of the people. But generally, our morale in the Nigerian police is always guided by our commitment to do what we have sworn to do. Peace and security must be looked into as a priority by all, to look at security as the business of all of us.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Kehinde suffers from indigestion. His twin Taiyi suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around, or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts for up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action.
welcomes you back to school. Have a session filled with lots of fun and excitement. Stay safe, stay healthy. Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
After a surprise loss in the first match of the season, the citizens have hot their campaign back on track. Will they continue in their winning form or can they be stopped? Find out this Saturday as Manchester City welcome Southampton to the Etihad Stadium on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 2:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu and powered by Integral.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. If you've just joined us, you're right on time to catch our business tips on business news with Alika Ogbanache Arwa.
The National Bureau of Statistics said there was 165.27 billion naira from exports of agricultural goods, while the import components of the trade 652.08 billion naira. On its agricultural goods sector, the NBS said the total value of trade in agricultural goods in second quarter of 2021 stood at 817.35 billion naira. The export components of this trade totaled 165.27 billion naira, while the import was valued at 652.08 billion naira. The data further noted that the topmost of these exported agricultural products were goods fermented Nigerian cocoa beans exported mainly to Netherlands, Malaysia, and United States. With business news, Alika Opanache Arwa.
Many thanks, Alika Opanache Arwa, for the business package. Coming up next now is newspaper review.
Maya, why are you staring at me? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, let's begin by taking a look at the window page of the Nation newspaper. Above the nameplate, you have the following headlines. Police parade suspected abductors of Baptist school pupils, with the rider 21 school children still in captivity. Destruction in Borno, huge. Federal government laments. And CNPP dismisses PDP's call for Emefiele's exit. And below the name flag, PDP zoning panel meeting inconclusive. No mandate to zone president, vice president slots. 6,000 delegates for October convention. Those are the two riders of that headline. Lagos, that's the kicker. VAT claim is about fiscal federalism. Akwa Ibom joins battle. Pay to FIRS, minister insists. Rescue Nigeria projects won't become political parties, says Utome. And below the photograph, you have the lead story there. That's at the bottom half of the page. Blocking of terrorism funding yielding results, says federal government. And Rider Malami, that's Attorney General of the Federation, fresh charges likely against Yoruba Nation agitator Igboho. And lastly, at the foot of the front page, Army to put officer who maltreated youth corps member on trial. That's on page 2. Claire.
Yes, let's take a look at trending stories on the front page of The Punch. And it's all about hardship for pensioners. This paper says, pensioners' hardship worsens. States owe backlogs of gratuities. Details of this on page 2. And the list of the states there comes as a rider on the front page there. And you see the picture story. The picture story, 25 bandits. Kingsley just read that story a moment ago. But here are the pictures. 25 bandits kidnapped Kaduna Baptist students, say suspects blame desperation. Pages 4 and 5. And other stories trending on the front page of The Punch. Truck drivers barricade Adamawa Gombe Highway, alleged police brutality, and court adjourns Sanusi suit challenging banishment to Nasarawa. But let's go a little above the nameplate. National Assembly's approval unnecessary for e-transmission of results, INEC, or REC. Sorry, that's REC. And reps raise panel to probe leakage of classified documents. It's on page 10. And on page 21 of The Punch, why we continue to borrow, says federal government. September bonds oversubscribed. An army-laced soldier dehumanizing female corps member for trial, says assault embarrassing and unfortunate. Details of that on page 4. Those are the trending stories. Bayo.
Thank you, Claire. Let's start with the story about the police high command that paraded 3 kingpins allegedly to be involved in the kidnap of 136 Bethel Baptist College students. The criminals paraded are Adamu Bello, Ishaku Lawal, and Muazu Abubakar. The 27-year-old Muazu Abubakar says that 25 of them carried out the whole exercise of kidnapping the students. He indicated that they did so in desperation to get money. He got 100,000 as his share for the exercise. They were still donning the military camouflage they have been wearing when they were paraded. It may be recalled that as the last instance, there were 31 students still left unaccounted for. 10 were released, leaving 21 still to be accounted for. Outrage has raised the video of a female soldier pouring murky, dirty water on a graduate serving her obligation under the National Youth Service Corps. The video trending on the social media has been identified to have taken place at the 13th Brigade, Calabar. It is an affront and a disgust to me as a person, and I want to suppose that anybody who has served under the National Youth Service Corps scheme. A copper is not a bloody civilian to be so maltreated contemptuously. In our days, a copper was referred to as potential senior service. Whatever she must have done, she doesn't deserve to be so treated. In fact, no Nigerian should be so disheartenedly treated. The brigade commander is reported to have instituted an investigation, and the army has categorically denounced the officer and says it is a monumental embarrassment to the army and has apologized profusely. Apart from this, the soldier is also said to have apologized to the copper for the dehumanizing conduct. Whatever the case is, she must face investigation. In fact, can the copper sue? If the copper can sue, I think she has a right to sue for the kind of treatment that was meted to her.
If her rights have been violated,
yes.
Whether she can sue?
Yes.
Of course, if your rights have been violated, you can sue. There's nothing that stops you from suing, and the evidence is all over the place. But a number of points. We must commend the Army authorities for their swift response to the video as it went viral, quickly denounced the incident and said that the officer had been taken in for further investigation. I think the military police have already picked her up for investigation and sanctions. That's what will be. That will be on their own side. Now, if the victim then decides to further pursue her rights, that will be another cause that is open to her. That will be a civil action. There's nothing that says that she cannot sue because the army officer doesn't have any immunity against actions. But, you know, beyond that, this is part of what we are saying. I don't know what the curriculum is in terms of human rights training for our law enforcement officers, particularly the military. You did say a while ago that a youth coming by is not a bloody civilian. It is this mentality, particularly of the other ranks. I understand the officer in question is a lieutenant, which means, of course, you've been through the Defense Academy. So what is the human rights training? That's to say, human rights, how do you respect the rights of citizens while performing your functions or your duties as a military officer? It is attitudes of this nature and the treatment that civilians receive in the hands of some military officers of all the services, which is why sometimes persons are lukewarm, towards the military. When you are seeking to galvanize citizen support for them, they'll say, what, a small thing will happen now, and then the next thing they will descend on us, X, Y, Z. So this is the kind of thing that is not tolerable. And I think that, apart from just saying, look, we are dealing with our X, Y, Z, the authorities should introduce respect for rights, as part of the course of instruction for the officer. Perform your function. Nothing that says that, in the line of duty, you cannot perform your function, but don't dehumanize it. Even in a war situation, there are rules of engagement.
Yes. Talking about video now, there is another video depicting charred bodies and piles of burnt motorcycles that is being trending on the social media. The Daily Trust has reported that they have fact-checked that video because the video is claiming that this was an operation on the 11th of September by Nigerian security against bandits in Zamfara. And guess what? What did the Daily Trust find? They found out that it was an oil tanker explosion at Morogoro in Dodoma, somewhere in Tanzania. And this happened in 2019. That is shown on the social media and claiming that it is going on in Nigeria. So anything you see on the social media, please do take it with a pinch of salt. Otherwise, you could be taken in. The rest...
There's another story you read earlier about the police arresting and parading 3 of the kingpins behind the abduction of the Bethel pupils. Yes, from their school. But the police, they should be commended for this. Because virtually, everyone has been concerned about how to secure freedom for the over 120 students who were kidnapped from the school. I think there are still about 21 or so of them still in captivity. They've picked up 3 of those bandits now who have admitted, according to the police information, to have been 25 in number that carried out the kidnapping activities on the school, which means that the others are still alive. So they are looking for them. But there's something that I also find a bit curious. It is not necessarily the case that parents of these pupils have not been paying ransom. They have been paying ransom, and I think one of them admitted that he got about 100,000. We ought to reach a state that would say, look, once you apprehend a kidnapper, apart from the legal trial and so on and so forth, there should be some measure of restitution. If Mr. A had to pay ransom of 1 million naira to some kidnappers, who did the money go to? Trace it and then repay the money back to the victim. That is the way. Otherwise, if you say, oh, no, they have caught them, let them face the law. The law doesn't quite recognize restitution. In fact, in some cases, it's either the death penalty or they destroy the property of the kidnapper. But the person who had paid the ransom is still left in a state of indebtedness.
And one other thing
had to go and borrow to get the...
If you remember in Niger State, where those Islamia pupils, those peasants had to be selling their property, whatever value it was worth.
One other issue I'd like to raise about that matter, Bayo and Kingsley, is the fact that we must find a way also of ensuring that our military, uniforms, camouflage, that these, boys, seize or, get hold of. I don't know, because it's becoming, rampant. Yes. You find it difficult to differentiate who a real soldier is. Who the genuine soldier is, from bandits or from kidnappers. So I don't know if there's anything that can be done, to do, when soldiers or military uniforms are, get into the hands of these bandits. Is there anything that can be done?
Well, what can be done is to deal with it as instances of impersonation. If you are not a military officer and you are found in the military, you are wearing a military uniform, it's a clear case of impersonation. But at the point of apprehension, which is where the matter lies, because there was a video that circulated some years ago, about a man who was in military camouflage, and I think it was somewhere around the southwest. I'm not quite sure whether Ibadan area or so. He was arrested by other ranks, and he was being asked, why he was putting on the uniform. But again, you could see the maltreatment of the gentleman. What you need to do is to take him in. And then hand him over to the prosecuting authorities. And it is something that has to be done on a regular basis so that people know. Some people refer to it as a fashion item. Military fatigue is not a fashion item. Mm-hmm. It's not a fashion item.
Okay, just before we end this review, Bayo, pensioners' hardship worsens. States owe backlogs of gratuities. And the pensioners are threatening to also sue Southwest governors over consequential adjustments. I mean, I don't know.
It's very sad because you find out that there is a case of a policeman who reported that he retired 35 years ago, and currently his pension that he gets is about 35,000 naira. 35,000 naira cannot take him anywhere, but in spite of that, it is not paid regularly. But it is worse in many states because what you read about is gratuities. The gratuities is the terminal benefit that is paid in bulk to the retiree. That have not been paid. Not to talk of the monthly payment, which is actually the pension that is in circulation. These are persons who have served the nation at the best part of their prime. Now is the time they are, as senior citizens, they're supposed to be relaxed without any hassles before they get their pension, but the pensions are not forthcoming. And incidentally, you find out that some of the states that are listed not owing pension are indulging in other activities that can be described as extravagant. The other matter of concern is the story clear you read about the resident electoral commissioner for Ogun State, who has pointed out that the INEC does not need the approval of the Nigeria Communication Commission to carry out electronic transmission. Mr. Olusegun Agbaji, while briefing the press, said INEC is absolutely empowered to transmit election results electronically without seeking any approval from the Nigeria Communication Commission. The Resident Electoral Commission referred to the law that was signed by former President Goodluck Jonathan, that it was not brought in before 2015 election. He said if we go back to that law backs the INEC up to conduct our elections using technology without National Assembly's approval.
Fire. I have been given the power to stop you.
Yes. Full stop.
Yes, so I'd like to appreciate you as always.
Thank you.
We thank you for the work you do, for the review work you do, and we wish you have a wonderful, fruitful and restful weekend.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
I'm sure we all do. This is Good Morning Nigeria. Let's take another break. When we come back, just a reminder of our topic. We're going to, of course, be discussing how to manage and control cholera, which has become a public health burden, and more so for Nigeria. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Through NPHCDA commenced Phase 2 vaccination of all persons 18 years and above with safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines approved by WHO and certified by NAFDAC. Special arrangement has been made for staff, their dependents and retirees of ministries, departments and agencies of government, private corporate organizations and non-governmental organizations. To benefit from this special arrangement, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng/corporate vaccination/ to obtain, fill and submit the Google form. NPHCDA will contact you within 48 hours. Protect yourself, your family and your workplace against COVID-19. COVID-19 vaccines are free, safe and effective. For further inquiries, call 0700-220-1122 or send a mail to covid19.vaccination@nphcda.gov.ng. This message is from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
enjoy Nollywood film. Orisun, PBO, AMC be my best channel. But ST Nollywood Plus, they show the latest Nollywood blockbuster on top classic bouquet. How I want to take watch am?
My pikin dey enjoy 5 children's channels. But you won't call our DreamWorks on top am.
I be telenovela lover and I like ST Novella E and Starlight. But I hear say the series on ST Novella E Plus on top classic bouquet, the totori person pass waiting I dey see now. And I won't watch am. Shey I go need pay 800 naira extra?
From September 1, Star Times, they summer you better package. But no fear, we no increase price. Join this offer. Make basic bouquet subscribers just pay for 1 month and then go fit to watch 3 ogbonge extra channels from Classic Bouquet. This awoof never finish. Recharge Classic or Super Bouquet for 1 month and you fit be one of the 400 lucky people them. We go win smartphone. Terms and conditions, they shall. More value, same price. Star Times, enjoy digital life.
After a surprise loss in the first match of the season, the citizens have hot their campaign back on track. Will they continue in their winning form or can they be stopped? Find out this Saturday as Manchester City welcome Southampton to the Etihad Stadium on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 2:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu and powered by Integral.
All right, let me welcome you back again to the program, and our conversation this morning on Good Morning Nigeria will be on management and control of cholera. I'm sure you know the statistics. They are not heartwarming, they are not cheering, but there are also cheering indications coming out. Of course, the commencement of the oral, cholera vaccine, which is ongoing in some states, but of course Bauchi. But let's listen to the background put together by our correspondent Ekene Ndilue just before we start our conversation.
Cholera, an acute diarrheal infection caused by ingestion of infected food or water, has remained a global public health challenge. Statistics show that about 1 to 4 million cases are recorded every year worldwide, while thousands of persons die of the disease. This year, Nigeria is seeing one of its worst cholera outbreaks, with more than 2,400 people dead so far. Experts have attributed the outbreak to wrong disposal of refuse and practices such as open defecation, which they say endanger the safety of water used for drinking and for personal use. A recent NCDC report shows that as at September 12, 2021, a total of 72,910 suspected cases of cholera were recorded in 27 states and the Federal Capital Territory since January 2021, with 2,404 deaths so far. Reports such as these highlight the need for massive enlightenment across the country to educate citizens on proper hygiene practices. So far, the federal government is making efforts to fight the disease. Just recently, Nigeria secured doses of cholera vaccines to be distributed to worst-hit states.
Based on the shortage of this vaccine globally, we are pleased that we have been able to secure some doses and have strategically mapped out and identified areas for deployment in the 3 states with the highest number of cases as a reactive campaign.
For Nigeria to defeat this perennial epidemic, experts say efforts must be made to give greater percentage of Nigerians access to clean water and eradicate open defecation, among other unhealthy practices. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be speaking to issues around management and control of cholera.
Thank you very much, Ekene Ndulue, for that background. With us here in the Abuja studios to discuss this topic, let's welcome Dr. Basi Okbosen. He is Director of Disease Control and Immunization at the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Dr. Okbosen, pleasure to have you with us this morning.
Good morning, and good morning, Nigerians.
All right, also here with us in the studios is Dr. Iwot Ndayo, is the Acting Executive Secretary of the FCT Primary Healthcare Board. Dr. Ndayo, pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much, and good morning, everybody.
Okay, so let's go to our Kano studio and welcome Professor Sadiq Abubakar once again. He's Director, Center for Infectious Diseases Research at the Bayero University in Kano. Professor Abubakar, it's good to see you again.
Good morning, Claire, and good morning, Nigerians. I'm glad to be with you again.
All right. Joining us from Gombe via Zoom, Dr. Rewanu Mohammed, Chairman, Bauchi State Primary Healthcare Development Agency. And just to add that, Dr. Mohammed is, of course, attending a very important workshop. That's why he's joining us from Gombe. Dr. Mohammed, good to have you with us.
Good morning, NTA. Good morning, Nigerians. Yeah.
All right, Kingsley.
All right, so gentlemen, once again, our pleasure to have you with us. Let's begin with Dr. Basi Okbosen, who is of the Primary Healthcare Development Agency. From a few reported cases, suddenly, we went into tens and hundreds, and now we're counting a couple of thousands of cholera. And it appears that there is no let-up in the number of fatalities, and of course, in the number of states affected. What makes this particularly worrisome is that we are dealing still with the COVID-19 pandemic. And here you are, cholera is claiming even more lives than officially, cholera is claiming, more lives than officially reported with the fatalities related to COVID-19. What is your agency reading about the situation?
Okay, let's start it this way. It's true as at today, with the week 37, Nigeria has recorded 73,055 cases officially, with 2,407 deaths. For COVID, as at today, it's 2,668, so COVID is still higher.
Yeah, but
I'm coming. I'm just saying something. I'm just
last year.
I'm just coming.
If you project this one, it's
no,
not
I'm just
into
coming.
next year.
No, I'm just coming. I'm just making it's a by design. It's a by design.
No, but I get the stats. That namely COVID about 2006 and then cholera 2004.
I'll tell you
Rapid killer.
I will tell you the beautiful part of it. Then I'll link to the question you've asked. Between week 36 and week 37, there has been a decline, 88% decline. In week 36, we had 1,182 cases. In week 37, we had 145. There's been a sharp decline, and it's coming under control. That is the beauty part of it. Now, when you look at what the agency is doing, we are not working in isolation. The ones we are doing and the ones we're working in a group, there is a National Emergency Operations Center, which has the NCDC, the MPACDA, the Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Environment. There are partners that are working with us where there's a response to it. And then from our own side, majorly also, we contribute to the investigation and management, and then majorly the vaccination aspect of it. There was a time Bauchi was the epicenter. So in Bauchi, we got vaccine through the CWG Global, where they gave the allocation they distribute worldwide. With the support from the Minister, the Executive Director of Faisal, we were able to get half of the global supply monthly to support Bauchi. Earlier in the year, when we had the epicenter at Benue, that was in March, we had the vaccines for them. You could see it died down in Bauchi and Benue. In Bauchi, when they had the cases, in July, we got the vaccine for them. With the vaccination, the cases have reduced by about 94% in Bauchi and shifted base. Just last week, we got additional approval from the CWG Global of about 4 million doses of vaccine, like I heard your reporter also mention, which is to target the 3 states that are currently having the highest cases. The state of the Jigawa is one of them, that then Kebbi and Zamfara. they are having cases. And so those ones, as we're receiving them now, we'll target. So there is a drastic reduction in the number of cases because of the joint response from both the NCDC, our ministry, and then our agency, and then the other partners that we are working in the space.
You know, Claire, yes, Dr. Okpusen says the heartwarming news is there is a sharp decline now in the incidence of cholera, around about 88%. That fine, with the injection of vaccines, we're also seeing a reduction in number of fatalities. But why apparently were we caught napping? We have 2,400 and something persons dead. That's the critical question. 2,400. These are human beings. Why were we caught napping? What went wrong?
Okay. Now, for us to discuss that matter, we need to understand what causes cholera. And then we link, because the government has a responsibility. We as Nigerians have responsibility. The cholera itself is a disease of the intestine caused by infection with Vibrio cholera bacteria. Now, this bacteria will contaminate either water or food. Once an infected person defecates and that disposal is not proper, now we're in rainy season, the rain will wash it into a nearby stream, into a pond where they drink from, into a well if it is not a raised well, and so on. The people go and fetch. That one person contaminating that pond alone will cause an epidemic in that community. Someone goes to pick a fruit, he didn't wash it, and that fruit has been contaminated. You see here, it is not the government that will go and wash the fruit for the person. It's me as an individual that should go to a proper toilet to dispose whatever waste I have. It's me that should go to fetch water. I should know where, and I'll protect that source. It's me that should know that I should use clean water to brush my teeth. I should cook my food well before I eat. I should wash my fruit before I do that. I should keep my environment clean. Once the water source is not good, contaminated, the sewage disposal is bad, and then the hygiene of that environment is bad, it gives an enabling environment for cholera outbreak to happen. And that is what is happening.
You know, Kingsley asked a question, and I was still, because you have to talk to us about the behavior of the bacterium, which is what you have described. I will still get to Professor Abubakar to give us the epidemiology of it. But Kingsley asked a question, in terms of management and control, were we caught napping?
Now, in the management itself, it's also interesting to pass this information across to Nigerians. Cholera infection on its own, usually the symptoms are mild or no symptom, but can be severe. What do we mean by that? Out of every 10 persons that comes down with cholera, it's only one that will be severe. And that one of the 10 will now show those signs. I'm coming to where the management, because the management has to do with both us and the government. In the management, for those that have become severe, what you see is the profuse diarrhea, where we sometimes call the rice water stool. If the person defecates, you see like rice water, it's just watery. Profuse vomiting, and then leg cramps. Once you see those three things, on the proving otherwise, it's likely going to be cholera. The important thing when that starts happening is to replenish the fluid for the individual. So it's good for us Nigerians to know, whether as a health worker, as an individual, we start with the basics, the salt water solution to rehydrate the person. Because that rehydration is what most times results in shock and death. But if that is attended to early, even before the person is taken to the hospital, it is when the dehydration is at the extreme that you can now administer drips, which is now the responsibility of the hospital. And then once that is done, we can now prophylactically add antibiotics, because the bacteria, with the antibiotics added, it drastically reduces the possibility of the person dying from the disease. So it starts with us, for us to be able to ensure that once we notice a sign, we take emergency steps and then report to the nearby facility for help. And then on the government side, once the cases came up, what the government did was immediately to set up the National Emergency Center for the Cholera Center, got the commodities that are needed to support those states that were affected. And that was distributed to the NCDC to the affected states. They were given free. They went to the site. Also, they contaminated the water sources for those that the water sources were seen as the primary source, and then provided the basic antibiotics that were needed in those treatment centers for the person. And then from our agency side, we made efforts to get the vaccines to the affected state. I will trust you that with the support we've had from His Excellency the President, the Vice, and the Minister himself, and the Executive Director, Dr. Faisal, for this month allocation of the ICG's vaccine donation global, Nigeria has taken 100% of the supply that should go to every other country.
You know what?
Just to support.
I'm sorry. You know what I like, to find out is from 22, and now you say the epidemic is in how many states? 29 states?
27.
27?
But
it's
no,
almost,
it has gone down.
And the FCT, hold on, and the FCT. What I'm saying is, at the point where it started, where it was just 4, where it was just 5, where it was just 6, what happened? Is it that we're not able to diagnose quickly? Is it that we're not able to provide treatment quickly? How was the response, strategy, mechanism from the primary healthcare? Or there are so many people.
You know, you've asked a critical question. I will still link it to one thing. Aside the government, we Nigerians had a role to play for one reason. I'll give you an example of a state. The commodities were available for them to receive. They were informed. These commodities are available for you. One of the early states, come and pick. It took the state 4 months to go and take those commodities to support. Even with the effort that went to support the state to get those done. 1, 2. For us Nigerians
what
also.
What states are those?
We leave those ones.
No, but
now,
I mean,
for Nigerians themselves, like we mentioned how the infection can occur, there have been announcement PSAs on the radio, television, advising Nigerians to please ensure that their fecal disposal is good, to ensure that at least they boil their water. If they cannot get the water, pipe-borne water, boil it, keep their water safe. But people still are careless about the water they drink, the food they eat. They leave them open for flies to contaminate those foods. It's like what we are seeing in COVID, where people are being advised, please use your face masks. They don't care. You go to the market, they will tell you this. So the attitude is there, but the government has been making effort to go to those areas, identify the cases. If not the early intervention that came, it would have been far worse than did this year.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Oposan. Now, let's go to our Kano Network Center. Professor Isa Sadiq joining us from our Kano Network Center. Professor Isa Sadiq, Kano has also been hit hard by the cholera outbreak. We know that on a per capita basis, the number probably will be less than what you find in some other locations. But certainly, hundreds of persons are reported to have died from it. What is it that we should know about the cholera outbreak this year in Kano?
Well, thank you very much, Kingsley. Cholera outbreak, as you said, has affected Kano just like other places. One thing I want people to understand is that Kano is the most populous state in the country. We are not talking in terms of population density, but in terms of absolute number, Kano has the highest population. And you know that a good number of our populace are within the municipality, engaging themselves in a lot of activities within the cities. And of course, because of the population that is explosive, there are a number of places where you find cases of open defecation, which is an avenue for the transmission of these bacteria. And a lot of places, in spite of the effort made by the government to provide water supply, still we have a number of places that are battling with shortage of water. And the rainy season, of course, you know, in these years have been massive, causing a lot of flooding. And just like Dr. Basi has said, these are situations that warrant heavy transmission of the disease, and of course, a place where a large number of people are living has not been spared. When you look at our rural areas again, it is the same picture. We have the situation where flooding has affected many of the dwellings where people live. And of course, because cholera is transmitted fecal-orally, it is a disease that can easily be passed, because there is no way that people will not take food and then they will not take water. But since our level of personal hygiene is still very low, simple hand washing is still a problem to many of us, and then the issue of safe disposal of feces is not there. Open defecation is the order of the day in many of our communities. This ensures that the disease is being transmitted. And that is why Kano has not been spared, just like other states in the country, with the epidemic of cholera. Of course, we are living in a country which is endemic for cholera. And of course, because cholera is an epidemic-prone disease, these situations, as a result of the environmental conditions, as well as the properties of the bacteria itself, and then the human behavior, the triangle of epidemic has been completed, because all the situations you need to facilitate an epidemic are there in our environment and among our people, and the bacteria is still getting transmitted. But it is heartwarming that we are hearing from the government some effort is being made to address other issues of control, apart from the one that should have been the easiest, but it is proven to be difficult. That is on the part of the communities to do what they can to ensure that they do not get this infection. Thank you.
Professor Abubakar, I'd like to stay with you. I just want you again to look at the behavior of the bacterium. We've been dealing with this problem for a very long time. Last year, we had cause to discuss cholera here in the studio. Dr. Poulsen was here with us. And we also had the representative from Bauchi and all that. But the interesting thing I discovered is that, from research, is that with each outbreak, the case fatality is set to be higher and higher. What is happening? Is it that, are we having new strains that are becoming, drug resistant? Or is it that, I don't know, the other conditions, that precipitate the disease are getting worse?
Well, this can be multifactorial. Of course, in terms of cholera, 2 variants or subtypes have been identified, the 01 and 0139. But for a long time, in most cases where you have the epidemic, it is the 01 subtype that is causing the epidemic or pandemic. And in such a situation where you have that bacteria, it is also behaving in the same way as viruses do. Of course, there is an aspect of mutation which tries to ensure greater virulence, and at times, because of the increase in the number of people we have, the epidemics spread faster and affecting larger number of people. But then, of course, there is a property of the bacteria itself which allows it to be more virulent and then to cause a more fatal disease. And of course, researches are still ongoing to discover more factors that might explain the increase in the lethality of these bacteria as well as other organisms.
Okay, thank you, Professor Isa Sadiq. We'll return to you subsequently. Let's go over now to Dr. Rilwan Mohammed, who is of the Bauchi State Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Dr. Rilwan Mohammed, again, I want to ask you the same question I posed to Dr. Oposen. Was Bauchi State caught napping in responding to the cholera outbreak, which from just a few cases suddenly became an explosion and turned Bauchi into the epicenter of cholera outbreak this year?
Oh, thank you very much. Since we had the outbreak of cholera in 2012, 2014, 2018, and the next one is this 2021. So it is not a new thing in Bauchi State. And one of the factors we realized that could be the reason why this outbreak is going is one of this, as my professor said, is open defecation. And when the first rain came, it washed all the stool into our well and other places, and we swallowed it, and the outbreak started. The second reason why this outbreak occurred is because of lack of enough water supply, clean water supply. And then people are resulting in using all sorts of water without knowing where the source is. The third one is the issue of the new fruits that came in at that time, vegetable fruits. People are not washing it, are not washing their hand. This is the three reasons why this outbreak occurred in Bauchi State. And then when it started it actually started in the border of Kano, Magami, in one of the wards in Ningi local government. The outbreak started gradually with the first index case, then later we had it in Bauchi. It spread to 19 local government in Bauchi State. Only one local government has one outbreak and death in Bauchi State today. So what we did actually was to wake up quickly and then set up an incident management system, and our mitigation plan and costed mitigation plan was done with our partners. Then we informed the NCDC. Actually, this is their work, but there was the former DG of NCDC, I must say that he did not respond very well to this epidemic, because it's not only money, but technical support is also required, but we did not get that support. The former DG did not give that support, but we did our best. The governor of Bauchi said all patients should be managed free of charge, and we did. We had 3 isolation centers in Bauchi town, and then where we had a higher number of cases, higher number of deaths of cholera. Then we manage them. Later we realized that we cannot manage them in this multiple isolation. Then we invited the Action Doctors Without Border, who came in to erect a cholera treatment center in Bauchi, where we manage all our cases. Almost 9,648 cases were managed in that center. Then we had another treatment unit in Toro. And all our general hospitals were turned into isolation centers and managing those cases around there. And one beauty thing that we got from the NPSCDA is a vaccination. And that 1.5 million doses of vaccine that came in July, we vaccinated the first dose. Now, all the cases have drastically come down in all the local government, even in Bauchi that has the highest number of cases. We gave the first dose, 750,000 doses. Then we gave the second dose, 750,000 doses. All the people that are coming on admission are those that are not vaccinated. Only 16 out of the whole people that came in after the first dose of the vaccination, which gave 60% of the protection. The second dose gave 3.5 years of protection. Those that came in on admission will realize that only 16 were those that had the first dose that came in. So, and what we did also was to make sure that we set up pillars, 7 pillars. Case management pillar under the incident management system, like we did in Folio. We have the risk communication, and all of the research pillar, which I'm the chairman also of that pillar, and the chief investigator. We are finding out what were the cause of this. We almost completed the research issue. And then logistic and management supply of IV fluid, which is very expensive, ringers lactate. We are, the government of Bauchi say we are buying it for every individual. Now, as I'm talking to you now, 17 LGAs beside Bauchi State has to move to Bauchi State to collect treatment, which are our borders. We have to take care of our borders. We give them free treatment, and we are doing that for a long time. And then what we also did was the government of Bauchi State also was to actually make sure that we increase the awareness to the community by mobilizing what we call our community volunteers. We had 200 community volunteers, which has gone to about 500 houses, talking to them about good personal hygiene, talking to them about hand washing, and then also decontaminating the household where there's infected person from the line list. They're also doing the well chlorination if there's well. Now we have challenges at that time. So people that have well say they have fish inside that you cannot chlorinate. Those fish are more important than human being. And that was the cause of the thing that has not, that prevent us from controlling cholera in Bauchi State. About few communities refuse decontaminating on some of their wells they have in their villages and places. They say they have fish, which is originally from their grandfathers, and you cannot touch those wells. And that gave us a lot of problem of if there's an infected person, we have to decontaminate the first house, the one on the other side, on the left and the right, and even 4 houses within that area where we have the outbreak. Now, what we did again, in case there's an outbreak in one community, we gathered the whole community. They have knapsack spray, which they use for the agricultural produce. We ask them to now, we give them chlorine. They put inside the knapsack spray. We now ask them to decontaminate their whole households with their children and the youth of the community. That has helped us a lot in decontaminating the households. Now, another thing is the support of another organization like Action Against Hunger. UNICEF came in, WHO came in, and then we really had that support from this organization. The Action Against Hunger supported us actually in also mobilizing the community by engaging community mobilizers to actually carry out this activity to reduce the number of cholera cases. And then that was what we have been doing. And now the cholera cases has drastically come down. Only about 2 or 3 local governments are reporting cholera cases as of today.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rewanu Mohammed, for all that you have done. And we are glad that, the cases have come down and you have just few LGAs. But I'm going to ask you, because you talked about open defecation and access to safe drinking water. And we are told that the conditions for cholera are preventable. So what is the major challenge? Maybe we can use Bauchi State as a case study for other states. What is the fundamental challenge for states in controlling or even preventing it? Because all that you have rolled out seems to be recurring. Last 2018, you probably did the same thing. Last year, you probably did the same thing. Maybe next year, if God forbid, say cholera outbreaks, you follow the same procedure. It's become routine. But we must address the fundamental conditions, that make cholera, thrive. So what do you think is the major challenge for you?
Now, we already informed His Excellency, the Executive Governor, that what we realize is the issue of water supply. And then what he did is urban renewal. Bauchi town actually is an urban slum because some areas are really not conducive for human because they are very close to each other. You see a house with the pens. On the other side is a well, and he doesn't know even there is a toilet on the other side. So it's a big challenge. Now there is an over 65% of the piping of water in Bauchi State has been done, remaining about 40% of the piping. That is the major thing that can be done to stop this cholera outbreak. When there is enough water supply, I'm sure that can stop the outbreak completely, and the government has already agreed. The second thing that we advise His Excellency, we wrote a memo, he has given approval, is to make sure that we erect PPP toilets, probably private toilet in strategic places for people to use themselves when they are impressed. They want to take care of themselves. When you don't provide a place, they will naturally go to run about other places and pass open defecation even in the main town like Bauchi town, which is the state capital. So the government has approved that they are going to erect this multiple PPP toilet within the town so that people can take care of themselves. It's done in the motor parks and it's done in some places where if you go to motor parks, you pay some certain amount of money, take care of yourself. very token amount, and then you'll be okay. So that the open defecation is one of the major things that I realize. The second one is the water supply, which he has taken up the matter. He's taking care of Bauchi town. The next one I had is Azare town, which is the next to Bauchi, and other places. He's doing multiple boreholes in all the places. He has done 648 boreholes. He's built and construct 648 boreholes in villages in Bauchi State today. His Excellency, the Executive Governor, said that he must stop this cholera. He doesn't need any support. Since the NCDC does not do their support, he should do his own to take care of his people. Now we're helping other states. They came here to actually ask us, what are we doing? We show them our structure. We learn from what we are doing in polio and NCDC and NPSCDA, and the structure was strengthened. His Excellency gave us all the financial support. That's what most important thing. And people are treated free. The drugs are free. Even the commodities are free. All the IP that is expensive, we have to buy it. He said we must get those IP anywhere they are at any cost, and let's take care of our people. And now the cholera has come down. I'm telling you, it's going to be history in the next 2 weeks in Bauchi State.
I was just wondering, there's a matter that is hanging there, Dr. Rewanu Mohammed. Twice now you have mentioned that the NCDC did not respond promptly to the cholera outbreak in your state. The NCDC is not part of today's conversation, so they are not in a position to immediately respond to your claim. But what did you expect the NCDC to do that they didn't do? And what was your own step as a first responder, that's to say as a state government or as a state agency or otherwise, when you had this outbreak from one border location with Kano, suddenly it went to 19 local government areas?
Now, since the outbreak of COVID-19, we have been discussing and managing and coordinating by MPSCDA. Today, I must congratulate the ED and the Minister of Health. These people are coordinators. These are good managers. What the NCDC, before he left, he has not called any meeting. Now, in the whole COVID-19 period, we have only 17 people that died. Let me tell you today, in Bauchi, officially, we have almost 280 people that died officially, not unofficial one. 200, 300 people have died today or more. Now, more people got infected like the other previous condition, which previous years. Now, there's a meeting with MPSC. They're discussing about COVID-19 vaccination. Who is infected? What is the problem? How can you now do the data management? They send people. The only time the NCDC sent, we wrote letters first when there was an outbreak to NCDC. They should respond. They said they are going to do something. They didn't do anything. So after we have finished, we also discussed with the NCDC that, look, we need support. They sent about 8 people who came to carry out only investigation to find out the cause of cholera, on which we are already doing. Well, I'm already the chairman. We have about 5 consultants, public health are there already doing the work. Then we now say we don't need their support. We thank them, they left. Then they did not give any support in terms of coordination. Now, the MPSCD, we had meeting last week with the ED National Primary Care discussing about our variance between our image data and our calling data. How can we support it? Who is not vaccinating well? What is the problem? Nobody is talking to us in NCDC except the Minister of Health that called about 4 meetings to discuss the issue of cholera in Nigeria. The NCDC did not feel it is important, and that is not right as a country. When we talked to them, they said it's not on, cholera is not on concurrence list. Now, the COVID-19 is on concurrent list. Is COVID-19 on concurrent list while we are working with MPSCD, trying to see how they do their duty. Even when we are asking for vaccine, they gave us 1.5 million to support of WHO. Now the NCDC did not do that. They support during the MPSCD. The other one maybe is because of the committee headed by the secretary to the government. The Bauchi State came at a time when we have a higher number of cases. The control was very difficult. We need also major technical and coordinating support that we did with the MPSCD. We always discuss with the ED and the other directors. Look, what is the way out? How can we solve this problem? That is the way a nation can do. Not only necessarily money, but technical support sometimes and direction can let us know where are the problems. How can we solve those problems? That was the reason why I always quarrel with them. And they know that we quarrel with them because they do not do their duty properly by coordinating the matter. And I think there's a new DG now. I think maybe the thing will change.
Rewanu Mohammed, thank you very much. We'll get back to you in a moment. But let's come back to the studio, Dr. Ndeyo. We have kept you, and there's a reason for that. I'm shocked. I know that we have rural areas in the FCT, but tell us, what was your first response, and what was the role of the NCDC and the primary health care, in containing, the spread of cholera in the FCT?
Well, thank you so much, and I'm so happy that I should come in at this time. I've got the privilege to also listen to about 3 speakers on this topic, but I must say that to me, it's a great embarrassment that we should be talking about cholera outbreak in this country, for that matter, at any time. When there is a breach between excreta and human being, human excreta and human being, then you have this kind of situation at hand. So somewhere we have got it wrong, and we have got to accept it. And you look at the situation that normally, in a normal response situation, that is when you are preparing to respond, or preparing a community, a family, community, local government, state to respond to epidemic, that the country has specified and very clear structure and system to do that. We have the knowledge, we have the personnel to man this system from the community to the national level. And we have appropriate reporting system. We have the tools that weekly, there's a Form 001 that is used for monitoring and reporting weekly, and you are sending that to the center based on the data that you are generating from your daily activity in the clinic or in the hospital or wherever you are seeing clients. So for instance, I'm here in Community A. I have a facility I'm manning, and I've noticed that cases of severe acute gastroenteritis, let us put it that way, because cholera falls within that. You also have Klebsiella, you have E. coli, you have Salmonella. They all will cause the acute severe gastroenteritis. You now see that you are having 0 days, suddenly you started having 1, 2, 3, 4. You should raise, you trigger, the system should be triggered, and somebody must take responsibility. So are we doing that? We are having diseases. That, in fact, when this country was certified wild polio free, 2020 August, Dangote Foundation and the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation said they are shifting to surveillance. Surveillance system is what I'm trying to describe to you now. In the primary health care, we have what is known as community informants. They are there in the community to do what you are doing in the clinic, actively monitoring the communities. Are there cases, but what are the diseases that are included in this monitoring? You have the polio, you have the acute flaccid paralysis, you have the diseases that have been built for eradication and control. They are all there. So we should also expand so that people will be looking for cholera, cerebrospinal meningitis. You should be giving community definition of these diseases so that the community informant should be updated regularly, and then the linkages from them to where they respond in terms of practical intervention when the outbreak has occurred could be established. So these were not happening for cholera. And look at it, this is a disease that is seasonal. Just as we have said, there is a breach that human excreta has come into the buccals of a human being and is causing this. What is the health-seeking behavior of our people, residents of FCT, to be specific now? Did they look at this situation as being warranting hospitalization or hospital treatment or visiting the clinic? And if you follow that trend, you are locating where the outbreak is happening. Is it happening in the cosmopolitan? As you rightly said, it is less than 1% of the total FCT that is cosmopolitan. 98% of communities in FCT, over 2,000 communities, they are rural. They live in filthy, unorganized, community. Even when the rulership, the leadership of the communities, at times may be indeterminate. And then you see these people not having food security. Rainy season is when they are going out there to farm, to crop. The community is completely, dirty and not being kept. They are in the farms. And they are eating foods, drinking from the open stream and all that stuff. And they come down with this. We had this issue 2009 in FCT. And when government intervenes, you don't expect the situation to continue more than 2 weeks. That is when you talk of epidemic curve. When you see a situation that is persisting after a week, 2 weeks after government has stepped in, experts have come in, all the partners supporting surveillance and outbreak response, disease control should come into a matter, and it's lasting over 2 weeks, then there is something wrong. Something is wrong somewhere. Either we are not doing surveillance enough, or we are not targeting the appropriate agents. Because yes, it's good that we are having cholera, but I also understand at this time in FCT, we also had to do general stool analysis culture, and we realized that things like salmonella, the organism that is causing typhoid, fever, the one that is known as Klebsiella is also there. We have E. coli, which is the one that you see in freshly contaminated water source. So that we have seen that. And we remember a case that we took the water source to the laboratory, and the laboratory scientist was raising an alarm. Is this actually water or excreta? Because the water itself was like excreta. And this is what our people are taking. So we have
What's
got
the situation now? Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think for the past 3 weeks, FCT has been reporting 0. We don't have any cholera case in FCT in the past 3 weeks.
So the outbreak was more in the rural areas of the FCT.
Exactly. So the location is very key. And when you are talking about potable water, yes, it may be coming up from the pipe, potable. But what is the receptacle? Where is it stored? How is it stored? Because you have your utensils, you have your storage bowels and pots contaminated already, and you put potable water there. I mean, you don't expect the effect, to be positive. And remember, the ED said that the cholera vaccination itself is reactive. That means the disease is already there before you are vaccinating. So that is to say, we got it wrong from the outset, and we are trying to correct those wrongs. So we have got to do what we should do, and remember that if you don't start on time, you have a situation in your hands. You are looking at cholera coming in the rainy season. What should you do before the season comes?
That's right.
Thank God that God has already given us the beauty and the privilege to determine when this disease would come in, the outbreak will come in. Cerebrospinal meningitis, the brain, would come in the early dry season. When is the best time to give preventive vaccination? We are looking at about 3 months to that time. So that means if you want to prevent cerebrospinal meningitis in February or March, you should start vaccinating people in October or November the previous year. So we are looking at, so we should rise to the occasion and not be reactive most of the times in this country.
Who are the we?
That should be Federal Ministry of Health, NTA, CDA, the state government. I mean, it is everybody's responsibility because, as I've said, there's a system to trigger the signals that, we are approaching the season. So what can we do to protect our people so that we reduce the reaction?
Okay.
We are in the season now. What should we do? Do we just say, cholera? But these are all group of severe acute gastroenteritis. All of them are capable of causing profuse diarrhea and death from dehydration.
What did you do to bring down the cases?
So what we did in FCT, just have said that we have to activate all these systems with our partners. The NCDC, the WHO, they are table partners in FCT. They are very supportive and they are very good. We set up the EOC. In public health, we had the incident manager, we had multi-sectoral representation in that place. Water board, rural water sanitation agency. We had works, and we pull partners together and strengthen the community surveillance system. I think that is what I would come in here. And we also had to analyze these tools. We had to analyze these tools from the 6 area councils. We analyzed these tools beyond cholera to also expand the scope of antibiotic therapy. So because the antibiotic you may be using for cholera may not be active against other gram-negative enterobacterial. So we did the culture and we isolated these organisms that I've also mentioned. So we are approaching a case. We give this combination of antibiotic. And you could see that within 6 hours that you may be taking care of that. And again, the Minister of FCT at times behaves as a doctor. I don't know, medical doctor. Well, we had the case in Buhari. Yeah, actually, the number of cases in Buhari wasn't as high as the number of cases in Abuja Municipal Area Council and Golada Area Council. But he noticed from our presentation that the number of deaths in Buhari were higher than this other one. So he had to ask us, why was this happening? So the epidemiologist is that we got down there and we found out the water source. We were able to track to the water source. And as I speak to you now, as we're given approval and hand pump borehole has been installed. And I mean, and so we are doing Gwagwa and all that. So we are doing that. And the risk communication is good. But then giving people general information, oh, don't wash your hands after toilet, do that, open defecation is good. But then if you cannot go to a situation that you have a community that is having the outbreak, and you are telling them that is the source of your outbreak, that water source, that, food source, sort of stuff, this is what is causing your problem, don't do this, don't do that, and people will be safe. That is fine. Okay. So you go beyond general
Dr. Ndayo, thank you very much. Thank you. We know we paused you for a while before we brought you on. But I just would like Dr. Basi Oposen to also tell us a few things more about the vaccination program for cholera. How long does the potency of cholera vaccination last? And is there a nationwide program for vaccination, and who should get it?
Okay. You see, thank you for the question. Just to correct an impression first so that Nigerians will have it right. Currently, globally, vaccines are not produced for routine vaccination. They are more of reactive because the companies producing it are few. In Africa, as we are today, it's only Liberia. They are trying the conjugate vaccine. They have a smaller population to see how it works. And the country being proactive is already in dialogue with Gavi to see the possibility if they are going to give any other African country a chance to be part of it. We are already set to submit a proposal whereby if the vaccine is available, we know those states that every year have these cases because the preventive measures are not taken. We can pre-position the vaccines for those states. That is the target of the country. We are at the verge of getting Gavi consent to be able to submit a proposal to also start a pilot. Now, for the vaccines that are available, one dose, if taken, the first dose taken, confer immunity for about 3 months to 6 months. But when the person takes a second dose 2 to 6 weeks apart, it gives 3 to 6 years protection. And for who can take the vaccine, majorly is from 1 year and above. And when we see the cases that we have had in the country so far, majority of the cases, over 60% recorded in Nigeria this year, are between the ages of 2 and 14.
2 and
14 years.
14?
14 years, that recorded about 60% of the cases that we're seeing. So all these things are away. And like you mentioned, giving you additional information on the vaccination. And remember earlier, I commended the President, the Vice, the Minister of Health himself, and then the Executive Director, Dr. Faisal. On a monthly basis, the ICG International Cholera Group that is responsible for giving the vaccines for reactive campaigns, on a monthly basis has available only 3 million doses to distribute to every country in the world.
Dr. Person,
for July, we took 1.5 million of that source alone. This month, we are taking the entire 3 million, plus one that will be added again next, to show you the effort that the country is making to make sure that whatsoever is available globally is there for Nigerians, for them to be vaccinated. So And we also hope once there are windows, more production, and the vaccines are available for routine, we will pre-position those vaccines in our various states to make sure that people are vaccinated ahead of those peak periods.
I don't know. Things have changed. Yes. I just want to make a comment, not to ask a question. When we went for our orientation exercise in the NYSC program, we had two forms of vaccination. I believe one was for cholera, and then the other one was for CSM, that's cerebrospinal meningitis. Maybe that was there in the camp. Maybe the question to also ask, probably not for this purpose, is, look, is globalization affecting vaccine production? Because we keep saying donors. We can't produce vaccines here. I don't know.
That's a bigger subject to take. But let's take the final question from Professor Abubakar in just 60 seconds, if you may. What will be the first line therapy, when cholera is suspected, before you even get to the hospital or before you even reach professional treatment?
Okay, thank you very much, Claire. The golden measure to take is oral rehydration solution. We know that we have this WHO/UNICEF formula, which contains sugar and salt. People should make the best use of it. As soon as we suspect any diarrheal diseases, the first thing we should do is to mix this oral rehydration solution in 1 liter of fluid, and then people should take it profusely before they even get to any health facility for help. They should start taking it at home, and even while traveling to the health facility, they should continue to take it. But severe cases, we shouldn't even wait while we are taking these measures. We must get to the nearest treatment center for cholera, where they must be placed on intravenous fluid. That is the golden thing to do. And then, of course, the antibiotics will help to reduce the duration of the diarrhea and then the impact of dehydration. And one thing we can do for children, zinc solution is also helpful because it reduces the duration of the diarrhea. So to repeat myself, oral rehydration solution before anything. Even if the patient is still vomiting, we must continue to give after a while because it helps.
Okay, Professor Issa Sadiq, thank you very much. This ORT, some years ago, you could hear it on radio, on television, see everything, ORT, oral rehydration therapy. Particularly amongst children. And from the data that Okposon has given us this morning, if you have about 60% of the fatalities occurring amongst children and then early teenagers, we must ask the question, what happened to the campaign on ORT? But that question is going to Dr. Ridwan Mohammed of Bauchi, who of course will join us via Zoom from Gombe. What is it that we can do to ramp up public enlightenment, in particular the WASH program? Because if you look at the numbers now, it would appear that the WASH program has not been a success in some of these high-impact states.
Thank you very much. We actually step up our risk communication pillar, and risk communication pillar link up with both traditional rulers, the emirs, the district heads were all involved in this massive campaign to inform the people about when there's cholera in Bauchi town, there's cholera in the whole Bauchi, because person-to-person transmission continues in the market, in places where there was wedding or anything. So we inform the people. The next one is informing the religious leaders' sermons during Friday prayers, during church service on Sundays. We actually go there also to inform them about the behavior. Our behavior is what is propelling. If we don't change our behavior, there will be cholera, continuous outbreak of cholera. Washing our hands after eating, after going to toilet, after shaking hands with people, before you do anything, we intensify that during the Friday sermons and then in the church services. And that has helped us a lot. And in the radio and television, we had a lot of jingles going on in different languages to inform the public to be aware of what they drink. If they are not sure of the water they are drinking, they should boil the water. Then we also go on to carry out compound meetings, radio discussions, actually ask questions so that we answered point-in, call-in programs, so that people will understand the way the cholera get in and how can it be prevented. And that has been the thing we have been doing. We didn't see the reason why is it that the cholera has not stopped until this vaccination came in. I thank God that there's vaccination. Now they're asking of, they don't like COVID-19 vaccination and they like cholera vaccination because they saw that it's killing a lot of people. And then we have only 17 people that died in Bauchi for the last 2 years. So we're going to stay this risk communication activity in Bauchi, and that will continue. Thank you very much.
Nigerian thing that you are seeing the fatality they occur right in front of you with cholera, dehydration, stooling, vomiting. So, unlike COVID, COVID, the person can just have it and then the next thing,
Dr. Ndeyo, your last question in 30 seconds, please. What leaf do you think we can borrow from public response, to COVID-19? What leaf can we borrow from that so that, to address cholera issues?
Okay, thank you so much. I believe the COVID-19 pandemic response and preparedness and response in the country has really helped us to strengthen our response to the cholera. The problem was that the fit in from the community aspect was very slow to come. And we want people, the behavioral change communication and the active, the health-seeking behavior of our citizens should be improved to become very active. They should be actively involved. I take responsibility because primary health care is closest to the people and linking with the people. We should be able to bring them to the situation that they can now actively seek for health care when they are sick and to prevent sickness. Right. And then lastly, I want government to key into the UN definition of access to potable water. That by this time of the year, we are still giving community points of water source. Reticulation is not highlighted. I want to say that by this time in this country, we should be reticulating right to the households. Right. We want households to turn on their tap and have their water and not to take a queue up in a community center to fetch.
All right, so Dr. Ewart Ndeyo, Acting Executive Secretary, FCT Primary Healthcare Board, PHCB, would like to thank you for your contribution so far. Let us also thank Professor Isa Sadiq Abubakar, Director, Center for Infectious Diseases Research, Bayero University, Kano. Professor Abubakar, thank you very much for joining us. And Dr. Rilwanu Mohammed, Chairman, Bauchi State Primary Healthcare Development Agency. He joined us via Zoom from Gombe, where he's attending a workshop. Many thanks to you and congratulations for the success you have achieved so far. Finally, let me appreciate Dr. Basil Kposen, as always, Director, Disease Control and Immunization, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Thank you very much for joining us. All right, let's take a short break now. When we come back, we'll bring you our second conversation.
Ministry of Works and Housing has the responsibility to help improve the quality and the quantity of the road infrastructure assets, which are the roads and the bridges and the highways. At the moment, we have over 13,000 kilometers of road network under repair, reconstruction, or rehabilitation out of the existing 35,000 kilometers of federal road network. These 13,000 kilometers are comprising about 850 different contracts which the ministry superintends across Nigeria. We are fulfilling the mandate of our ministry to expand the connectivity of Nigeria's states and by extension the towns and villages through road transport.
Dear compatriots, our country can be as great as we want.
Let us all commit ourselves to its greatness.
We must be willing to set aside our differences, unite and stay as one.
In our expansive landmass, human and material resources, and plurality lies our strength.
Let our challenges lead us to rediscover our common ground, and together, let's find solutions.
This will take some time, so it requires patience, tolerance,
and forgiveness from every one of us.
Let all hands come on deck to protect and transform our country.
Let us unite and see each other not as adversaries, but as brothers and sisters.
Together, we can build a better Nigeria for ourselves and for the next generations.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA, with support from Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
After a surprise loss in the first match of the season, the citizens have hot their campaign back on track. Will they continue in their winning form or can they be stopped? Find out this Saturday as Manchester City welcome Southampton to the Etihad Stadium on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 2:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu and powered by Integral.
You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, on Sunday, the 26th of September, that's just 2 days away, Nigeria will join the global community to commemorate this year's World Contraception Day. It's usually an annual event.
And to join us to discuss the topic, let me quickly introduce the two personalities here in our studio. Dr. Tunde Shegun is lead consultant, Tumas Consulting. We're glad to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
And also with us here is Funke Fagbimi. Funke Fagbimi is Director, Center for Communication and Social Impact, CCSI. And Kingsley, if you permit me, I'd just like to start with Funke. You know,
why Funke?
No,
why Funke? I mean, the way to start is contraception necessarily a female thing?
Kingsley, I'd like to start with Funke.
No. I know. I said
yes,
why?
Funke, why?
Because this is part of the prejudice. When you mention contraception, the first thing is to assume that it's a woman's responsibility.
No.
That's the prejudice.
No. I took permission. I said I'd like to start
No,
with
I understand, but I'm also underscoring the prejudice.
All right, Funke. Actually, when I was growing up, you know, it was almost a taboo, you know, for any female, the girl child to talk about contraception. And if you had the courage to do that, you were considered deviant. But today, we are even having a World Contraception Day. Talk to us about that.
I think the world is changing. Nowadays, we need to make things that affect the quality of life of Nigerians and not just women, right? We need to make it a norm. And family planning is something that actually buys you that peace of mind. So why not talk about it?
So is that all there is to the World Contraception Day?
The World Contraception Day actually brings awareness, to contraception and the benefit it brings to the family through government, through the activities and the efforts of government to make sure that we reduce maternal mortality, infant and child mortality. And family planning or contraception is that one stitch that can actually save 9 lives. It does so many things and allows the health system to also see that point of integration where all things can align together. So why not talk about family planning, which is not just for women?
So let's put the question now back to Shegun. Kingsley.
I'm not the one put. Ask your own question. But the question I will ask Shegun. Okay. No, the question I will ask Shegun will be as follows: whose responsibility is it, as it were, to understand and then, if you like, deliver on the whole idea of contraception, which leads, of course, to family planning?
Okay, good question, and I appreciate the fact that you said it's not just about women, which is very true. I mean, if we go to the basics and say, what exactly is family planning? You see, it allows individuals and couples to be able to anticipate and attain their desired number of children and the spacing and timing of those pregnancies. You know, and this is achieved through the use of contraceptive methods and, of course, treatment of involuntary infertility. So the ability of a woman to be able to time, to space, and even limit her pregnancies has a direct impact on her health and well-being and on the outcome of each pregnancy she has. So it's a collective responsibility. It is not a responsibility of just the woman. Of course, if we look at it in terms of biology, it's the woman that, in quotes, suffers more the outcomes or the consequences of where there's unwanted pregnancies, where the pregnancy is not planned for, where there are complications of that pregnancy. You know, it's the woman that bears the brunt. However, it is a responsibility of all, because we also live in a society where, or let me just say, it's more patriarchal, where the man has a lot of influence over the woman and what happens to her. It's varied.
Do we have male contraception? And if so, what is the role of men in all of this?
Okay, so there are both contraceptive methods for the man and, of course, for the woman. And because of the anatomy of the woman, you have more for the woman, because share by share anatomy. So for a man, you can just talk about the barrier methods. And of course, we know about condoms, but there are also condoms for both male and female. A man can also do what we call withdrawal method, so that he doesn't spill his sperm into the woman. And then, of course, a man can also do the permanent contraceptive method, which is a vasectomy, cutting the tube that carries sperms from the testes, you know, to that. And of course, the fourth one, which most people forget, is a man can abstain. So, but I know the way people look at that and say, well, yes, I mean, abstinence doesn't have to be total, but I mean, you can abstain till, like for the youth, we tell them, okay, try and abstain till marriage. But if you cannot, then you practice safer sex because there are consequences, either infections, HIV, AIDS, unwanted pregnancies. And of course, unwanted pregnancies lead to unsafe abortions, and unsafe abortions lead to death. And that complicates our issues for women. So going back to your question, it's a collective responsibility, and that's why this World Contraception Day is creating awareness. We want to know about it, we want to talk about it, and want to go for these methods.
You know, Funke, we know that there are cultural and religious barriers to effective communication of contraception. Our society hasn't reached that stage where this is a point of sometimes antagonistic legislation. In some other jurisdictions, you hear of abortion rights and what all of that entails, all the matters that could lead up to that very point and contraception. So how can we, if it is desirable, more effectively communicate the idea of contraception while tearing down the religious, cultural barriers against what should be done in the circumstance?
I wouldn't even say tearing down religious and cultural barriers. I think it's identifying them and finding out which role they play along the spectrum of behavior change. So ideally, and a lot of projects have actually done well. For example, the Nigerian Urban Reproductive Health Initiative was one project that was able to tackle demand and supply barriers. And for the demand barriers, it looked at the social norms, looked at the perceptions, the attitudes, the lack of skills, the lack of self-efficacy that stood in the way, preventing people from actually attaining that behavior. And one thing the NORI project really did well was to go right to the leaders that matter and get their buy-in. So there was a lot of advocacy at the religious level. This is what other people and other projects and other constituents need to emulate. So it's not seeing them as barriers, so to speak, because if you're not careful, culture is going to eat strategy. So no matter how effective your strategies are, what is the norm and how do you find out, do your investigations, know exactly what the correct perceptions are, know how you need to mitigate against them so that we can easily get to where we are going. And we all know how complex behavior changes. There are different levels you need to go through. So it's not instruction that makes people to change behavior. It's that shared vision. And there's a quote that says, you know, shared vision allows ordinary people like you and I to do extraordinary things. And in this role play, you need to understand who the stakeholders are, who all the players are, and make sure that you bring all of them into the space.
You know why I raised the issue of cultural and religious barriers? There is a view that is prevalent in our society that education on contraception could lead to promiscuity.
There's also a saying that says knowledge is power. So when you have the correct knowledge, it allows you to make that choice.
Once you have that power, then you go to town.
So it's not true. And evidence has shown that it definitely is not true. And those are some of the misconceptions. That's the narrative we need to change. You can play a part. I can play a part. Definitely is not true. Knowledge is power.
Okay, Shagun. When family planning advocates, talk about contraception, the general emphasis is usually on the pills, the injectables, the coils, and all that. I'm wondering, why do you not give emphasis or stress to timing and withdrawals and those, aspects that do not involve having to take pills and all that?
Okay, let me help you. You see, there are different methods, and what you are trying to talk about are what we call natural family planning methods. So things like withdrawal methods for the man, symptothermal for the woman. The Roman Catholics have projected the Billings method. There's standard day methods using beads, But the issue is, if you look at the efficacy, if you look at the hormonals, the implants, and all that you are mentioning, they have higher efficacy rates than a withdrawal or symptothermal where the woman must have regular periods. And, if you have irregular periods, you cannot time the ovulation and all that. So it's not, what you're saying, if you go to a family planning clinic today where there is a green dot, the Federal Ministry of Health has a green dot, you will be giving counseling on all the methods. So, but it's just like saying, if I go to a pharmacy, I can say, please, I would like to buy a condom, or I'd like to buy a pill, at least things. But you see, how easy will it be to go to a pharmacy and say, please, I want to buy abstinence, or I want to buy withdrawal methods. You see, like she was saying, those things are more of behavioral changes and education. It's not a product you can buy. So it's easy to market products, but when it comes to things that border on behavior, you may not see that come to the fore. But I assure you, every family planning training that I've involved in that, over the years, every family planning clinic takes the woman and the man through all the methods, and then you can make an informed decision. And who says you can't combine? I can combine a condom with my wife using a pill or something, or of course it's more convenient nowadays to use what we call the long-acting and reversible contraceptive methods, so that the woman doesn't bother to be popping pills. You can have an implant in your arm or an intrauterine device in the uterus, and you are home and dry. So it may seem to be an emphasis on those things that are products, but it is there.
Okay. Tunde, thank you very much. Back again to Funke. Obviously, after menopause, these issues don't matter. But who is the target for more effective communication on the whole idea of contraception? How much do you get to see of such target audience voluntarily seeking information on their own? Because I'm asking this question against the background of what we get to hear and what we get to know, that sometimes they just rely on oral communication from their friends and colleagues and peer pressure. Oh, take this one. Oh, take that one. Oh, take that one. This one has worked, X, Y, Z. And sometimes, of course, as you know, complications do arise. So in terms of communication, who is your target audience? How much do they on their own voluntarily come up, for counseling and then respond positively to the messaging?
So for behavior change, our audience is actually wide, but at the community level, looking at the consumers, it's both the female and the male. But with the knowledge we have, a lot of emphasis has now shifted to making sure that there is adequate male involvement. So some men do still need to give permission to their wives to access FP. And in some of the programs, we've seen that shift. Even men are coming out to ask, I want my wife to have this method. What does she need to do? Also, at the provider level, we need to eliminate that provider bias at the level of the providers, and they are also educated on how to get the best out of the clients, how to give the correct information, how to make sure that they change their perception on the skills and make them more confident to actually know that the services are there. And like Dr. Shegun mentioned, go to a facility that has the green dots. This is endorsed by the federal government of Nigeria, and you can get accurate services. So in terms of whose responsibility, we can't say it's just one. What we've done recently is to have a sophisticated audience segment where we don't only look at their knowledge, their education, but their psychographic profiles. What are their aspirations? What are their needs? What do they want? And how can we help them to attain that desire? And again, family planning is one intersection between the human capital development agenda. Invest in people, you're investing in a nation. When you make that woman stand proud, when you make that family stand proud, you're able to do a lot, and the benefits spills over.
Funke, I will get pressed for time, but if you recall, some years ago, there was some debate as to whether family planning of sexual education should be incorporated in the curriculum. I mean, there were some parents and other stakeholders that said, no, don't expose our children to this kind of education because, again, in their view, it might lead to promiscuity. I was just wondering, still, because the issue of targeting is important. Is it those who are, pre-puberty years, or those who are just getting in? Because it's a natural course. You can't run away from it once those urges are there. And if you don't have the right information, you rely on your peers.
Exactly. So I think, you see, the principle is to have age-appropriate sexuality education. Years ago, the government adopted what they call family life and HIV/AIDS education curriculum. And you see, what happens is because people just think there's half, you give half knowledge, you don't give the full spectrum. And of course, like a child, if you tell a child, don't touch that, the curiosity is heightened. But if you tell the child, look, touch this, it's hot or it's cold, so if you give the full knowledge, not just that sex is pleasurable, which it is, but the full knowledge about the consequences when you are ready, there are infections and all that. Research, like she said, has shown that when youths have this knowledge, they invariably even delay having sex. Contrary to popular opinion, tell them have sex and they will try and experiment, So the youth need to be targeted. Give age-appropriate sexuality education.
All right, I had a question for you, but our time will not permit us. So I'm told to end our conversation. We've run out of time, really. Dr. Tunde Shegun, Lead Consultant, Thomas Consulting, and of course, Funke Fagbemi, Executive Director of Center for Communication and Social Impact, CCSI. Both of you, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, so let's take a look at what's happening on the entertainment scene as we join our entertainment arts and entertainment desk.
Nigerian singer Korede Bello's 2017 single Do Like That has been certified gold in the United States of America.
Act like you don't know, no, baby, don't do like that. Girl, come feed me, don't be stingy.
By so doing, the Mavis Records product becomes the 6th Nigerian record to be certified gold this decade, after records by Burna Boy, Davido, and Wizkid. Currently, the song has 120 million streams on YouTube. This comes after news that Wizkid's Essence has been certified platinum in the US. Do Like That has also become Maven's first gold record in the United States. Meanwhile, Nigerian singer and disc junkie Yen, born Oyinka Asu Johnson, commenced her bid to break the world record for the longest stream of non-stop music. The record currently stands at a reported 11 days. Yen has been streaming her sessions live on her Instagram. In 2018, it was reported that DJ Van Mark, then a student of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, broke DJ Obi's reported June 2016 world record for the longest marathon DJ spin. Already, DJ Yen has done over 20 hours. If she breaks the record, she will join the likes of Stephen Keshi, Lagos State, Olawumi Treasures Boyode, Haruna Abdulaziz, and Kafi as the Nigerian entities in the Guinness Book of World Records.
All right, so that's it for us on Good Morning Nigeria for today and indeed for the week. We hope you join us on Monday for another edition of the program. Enjoy your weekend.